everybody. I am Ian White. I'm the CEO and founder of ChartHop. We're a people analytics and operations platform that transforms the way companies manage and support their people. And so today we're going to be discussing an increasingly relevant topic, which is how to navigate transparent and informed compensation planning, including a look into our product compensation reviews that we developed from all of our learnings from many customers over the last several years. Here's what we'll talk about today. First, the state of compensation planning, the risks of ill-informed compensation planning, getting compensation wrong at your organization, and a look into ChartHop's compensation reviews product alongside some best practices that we've learned in the field. So I think compensation is a really interesting topic right now. A lot of things have changed very fast in just a few years' time. Historically, I think compensation, there was a taboo around discussing pay at work. And companies were tight-lipped on how they paid employees. But then a few things all changed at once. COVID happened and people started working remotely, and a set of conversations started to emerge on whether we should be thinking about paying employees differently based on geography or not if everybody's remote. And next, the job market expanded where the talent demand far exceeded supply, and employees began to feel more empowered to ask their leaders questions and demand more transparency. And as we've seen, that's led to laws changing. Colorado, New York, most recently California, passing pay transparency laws that actually changed the way companies publish and post and talk about their pay ranges. And so ultimately, this has led to a real inflection point on compensation. We work with hundreds and hundreds of people, leaders. They are all trying to figure out right now, what does this mean for their organizations and their people? They are at the front lines of all of this change. And so compensation has always been a critical topic to get right. But when you don't have a great process in place, when you don't have transparency, when you don't have a well-informed process, there's some real business risks to your organization. A lot of things can go wrong. It can lead to a lack of budget allocation and planning. So comp planning properly will help your organization allocate resources for employee compensation in the right way. If there is not a clear plan in place, then it's really easy for teams or departments to overspend or overpromise employees and candidates, which is also why it's really important to have detailed job descriptions and levels and frameworks approved at every level. There's also potential to not just overspend on your budget, but if you miss, you can lose top talent. And remember, as you're thinking about ways to reward employees and keep your top performers, compensation plan is not just about competitive pay. In fact, the most sought after perks are actually health insurance and flexible work schedules. So if you do your due diligence and create an informed strategy that's right for your organization and your talent population, you'll be able to attract top talent and build a culture in which employees feel respected. And that ultimately increases their chances of staying at your organization long term. If you don't get comp right, it can reduce referrals. Without a strong comp strategy, you could lose out on employee referrals, which is a top contributor to great talent acquisition. When your employees feel valued and feel supported and respected at work, they're going to be more likely to recommend open positions and bring in great former colleagues. And last, and this is maybe most important, getting compensation wrong will decrease employee trust. If you don't communicate your compensation plan, if you don't treat people fairly, communicate with transparency, you will decrease trust. And trust is much needed in any organization, and especially today. There was a recent HBR study, this was fascinating. 58% of people trust strangers more than their own boss. Think about that. and think about the impact that building a high trust culture and organization can have on performance and retention. So, how can you avoid these pitfalls? I'm going to walk you through a few best practices around compensation planning that we considered as we were building our own compensation planning solution and share some lessons that we've learned. So, ChartHop launched compensation reviews early last fall, and it has become by far one of our most popular products. We found that there really wasn't anything else on the market to help people teams confidently and easily administer comp reviews and empower leaders to make informed, collaborative, and equitable compensation decisions that ultimately mitigate those 4 risks that I mentioned. And so we know that today, as we talk to them, most people in finance teams are relying on endless spreadsheets to manage their comp review processes. But spreadsheets have a lot of problems. They're prone to error. They can be accidentally, and I know everybody who's worked in HR has had this nightmare moment at least once in their career. They can be shared with the wrong people. They are just difficult to distribute to multiple teams. And then they're often difficult to manually merge together into a comprehensive view. And how can fair compensation decisions be made when the data required to make those decisions is siloed across multiple systems in or out of your HR stack or saved on a bunch of different people's desktops, spread out across the organization? It's important to have one place to bring all of this together. And so whether you're building a brand new comp philosophy for your organization, or if you already have an established strategy that you're looking to maintain or evolve, people team and finance leaders need a flexible, configurable mechanism for taking your vision and strategy and just bringing it to life in a simple, user-centric way that allows you to be in the driver's seat of how you want to define and dictate all of the relevant parameters for your review cycle. And so as each organization has unique guidelines and processes for comp reviews, it's essential to be able to configure comp reviews that work the way your organization does, not the other way around. We wanted to offer a visual, easy to use guided builder that allows you to create flexible budgets, establish transparent guidelines, and build approval workflows to support your unique comp review process. One thing we've learned from working with hundreds of customers across hundreds of thousands of end user employees is every company has its own organizational needs for what makes sense in their compensation review. It's really important that a product helps support all those different workflows. And so if you can create and communicate guidelines to your managers around your compensation plan that help communicate when you offer raises and promotions, what the recommended amount of those promotions or raises should be, that can really help streamline the planning process and help make more transparent and clear your compensation process and strategy across your organization. Compensation bands are also really critical, maybe more so than ever with the transparency laws, but configuring comp bands with different currencies that support base, variable, or equity components, and being able to tailor those bands by department, geography, or any other category that best reflects your organization's unique needs and compensation strategy. Also, if you want to, sharing comp band ranges with the entire company can increase transparency and trust and gives employees insight into how their compensation can advance within your organization. You also need to easily build views of team comp for different managers so that each manager has a view of what they need to see across lots of different levels within the organization, eliminating VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, a bunch of spreadsheets generated individually for each department, and ensuring that everyone has real-time self-serve access to the information that they need in one place. And so rolling out an equitable compensation strategy that's consistent around the org requires empowering managers with the data that they need to make informed comp decisions by making it easy for them to access at any time the data points across any system that contains people data, but especially for compensation, this is true. Imagine empowering managers to be able to make compensation decisions easily based on performance ratings, equity, salary history, comp bands, or vesting schedules. That information might reside in multiple systems across your tech stack today. Bringing it together in one place gives managers all the information they need to make the right decision for their people. And so once you have clear, consistent budgets and guidelines in place, reviewers need automated guidance and warnings along the way. If they're going over, if they're going under recommendations, they need to know that in real time as they're entering those recommendations so that they can help set the context for the decisions that they need to make and what they may need to communicate without having to figure out how to convert currencies on their own or apply a bunch of percentages of different budget pools together. Making sure that's all calculated in one place for your managers is really impactful. And making that visual across your people team, your managers, your executives, everybody needs to be able to visualize the impact of compensation changes on each department's budget pool, or being able to see where an individual falls within a comp band or relative to peers on their team, or on overall DEIB metrics or other strategic people initiatives. It's really important to be able to see it all together in one place and be able to break out views for individual managers to give them the views of what they need to be able to see. And so establishing secure collaborative comp planning at your org makes a typically lengthy and, let's face it, pretty painful process simple, visual, and meaningful. You need a way to confidently administer reviews, knowing that you're at all times protecting sensitive information and reducing the risk of errors with secure collaboration and configurable approval workflows for each step of the approval chain that makes sense for your organization. Executives and other approvers need visibility into the impact of comp across the whole org. And another benefit to establishing a collaborative comp planning process is bridging what sometimes can be a real gap or divide between people teams and finance teams. Bringing those two critical groups together and helping finance teams seamlessly continue their planning and analysis in real time with robust reports and direct integrations into spreadsheets or FP&A systems. That collaboration between the two teams leads to deeper insights into your people data. And this is going to help finance forecast budgets more accurately and optimize costs. It also helps people teams negotiate better benefits and create a better workplace employee experience. The result for both is increased employee satisfaction, which boosts productivity, morale, and profitability. And so when we think about the impact that getting compensation right can have, DEIB is just one example. For years, teams have been talking about and formulating plans focusing on DEIB, and ensuring fair and equitable compensation is a critical, impactful first step in that. But figuring out where you stand on those plans today and whether or not your efforts have made a difference have been nearly impossible and incredibly manual and time consuming. Our employees, they don't want us to just talk about it. They want us to take action. And so with ChartHop's comp review, you're able to understand the effectiveness of your strategies with just a few clicks. So that instead of spending time trying to compile and slice and dice the data together, you can be building and executing people plans that deliver more business value. And so DEIB, it's only one positive change that we hope to impact with fair, transparent, and informed compensation practices. This is fast moving. The state of compensation is constantly evolving. And I think there's never been a more critical time to get it right than today. So we're here to help on that. If you ever want to reach out and talk to me or us about compensation, we love to hear about what you're seeing in your organizations, what you're seeing with your people. And we'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate you tuning into my session today. I enjoyed sharing my perspective and sharing some of the things that we've been building. But if you'd like to reach out and learn more about ChartHop, you can always visit us at charthop.com or visit us on Twitter or LinkedIn. If you ever want to reach me, I'm at ian@charthop.com. I love to hear from people. I love to hear how you're navigating the changing expectations around compensation at your orgs. And I'd love to hear from you. So drop me a line. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.